Well, well, well. Here we are today on July 19th. It is Monday, 2021. SPY down pretty big today, 1.5% red, coming off of a pretty downslope-ish weekend. Closing kind of decently. We had some nice volume within the first few minutes here, which only really happens on red days. As you can see in the first minute, 1.2 million shares traded on the SPY index itself. If we're going around the horn, you can look at NASDAQ here. Similar action and closed pretty strong. Held a bit of a smaller range than SPY itself did, which is interesting to see. If we're looking at other big names, big movers of SPY itself, Tesla closed green from that Friday previous trading day. If we want to look at Amazon, kind of sold off, but holding the range, closing all right. Google had a pretty nasty little sell-off there. Facebook, kind of holding the range. So just interesting to see. Not very panicky today, but obviously having some profit taking going on, having some little bit of buyer exhaustion at these insane all-time highs that are going on. So no real short setups trades for me today on what I would consider a normal trading schedule for me. Just had a couple little choppy longs that paper cut me along the way. I did have one. I took a call position on SPY right away in the morning, looking for similar action of how we were playing out as compared to the initial start of the COVID crash. So this is February 24th of 2020. I talked about this in the last video, going over how similar this was, how similar the previous week was to this week, and just all-time highs, little downplay off of those, and then sell off into the weekend close, and then hard dump into this new week open, which is kind of the same thing that we saw today, almost like the same numbers as well too, but just at 100. So it was like what were we today? Nope, hold on, 329 to like 324, and like same thing, 429, 424, pretty similar. Almost the same thing, but just add 100 to it. So less percentage points than what happened back in 2020, obviously, but still kind of eerie that it was so similar in that price action. So I traded a little bit of what I call the morning shoot. That's what I used to do a while back when I was stupid and degenerate. Just trade the volatility right away in the first few minutes of the market open on SPY. So I was essentially basing this whole trade off of this move from the 24th, of how as it opened, 1 minute sell off here on this day, coming off of a huge gap down, sell off, sell off, still declining VWAP, and then of course shorts covering, whether that was over the weekend or shorts in the pre-market at all, whatever exchange or modality they were doing that through. Price action obviously had to shoot up at some point from shorts covering and buying to close. So everything I was doing in just that one quick little trade idea was looking for any peak, any perk back above 427. That's where I bought 5 calls, and just really was kind of sheepish the whole time of risking this low. If we were going to crack here, then I knew the trade was over anyway. So bought 5 contracts at $1 a piece and sold at like $1.17, I think, as they were here, as we started printing red. So it wasn't like a logical or entirely well thought out trade. I was just looking to scalp some of that volatility and opportunity there within the first few minutes. So that was a nice little $80 win on that one to kind of pad me for the rest of the day and stay locked in for what was a bigger sell off here in the first half hour of the market, and then just kind of sitting through the choppiness and indecision here. It wasn't like, oh hey, are we sliding off here? Are we dying right now? And everybody's like, no, not right now. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll hold on a little bit more. Oh, wait, we're sliding down more? Oh, okay, we'll just wait a little bit. So just indecision kind of the whole way through. I'm not going to rack my brain or waste my mental capital trying to trade intraday on that one any more than what I did initially in those first few minutes. The crazy sell-off on that one today. So those, initially in the pre-market, of course, this morning I decided not to get up an extra hour early and look for anything there because I just didn't think anything was going to happen. And of course, we had 2 different opportunities, NRXP, this 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time frame. Had your break of VWAP entry signal, could have got short here, covered here at this point for 10%, and then exited a little bit if it was cracking VWAP, or if it was cracking, excuse me, the previous high of day mark as a risk level. But as you can see here, that was only a top tick, and it was just kind of algos and different little stops getting hit before price action ultimately cascaded back on down. I was totally reading this the whole time as I was watching it. Man, there's a double top here. This could be another opportunity to get short, but I was certainly not. I only had 1 day trade available today for me, and I would rather wait to play it on a higher percentage morning dump trade that I know the percentages on, that I'm more comfortable in trading and trying to get more and more experience on as well too. But obviously that sell-off was pure and beautiful to beyond 10% profit opportunity in the pre-market here. Really just kind of faded and did nothing the rest of the morning, except, you know, kind of held these little ranges, not insanely awesome volume. But then you can see this little perk back above VWAP here that squeezed out some shorts, and then just fading action into the close there on that one. CRTD, same thing. That, man, you could have gotten short here. If I was up, that would have been one of my, well, this one obviously was an earlier one. This was right away at the market open of the pre-market, so I would have only caught it around this point here too. But getting short anywhere around these points of the entry signal of VWAP crack after that huge perk, could have held on to a nice 10% profit even before market open. Looking at this chart here too now, I can kind of see or make the assumption, hey, as I'm seeing more and more of these charts, is it a sign that if we start holding or hovering around this VWAP after the pullback more and more, and especially after that initial dump, start holding these key levels? 410 is holding here, you can see it still dumps, but it's not like a hard, huge panic sell-off from longs who are trying to get in here. And this one you could equate that to just of how early it was as well, of course. But maybe if we start seeing this pattern more and more of, okay, it's downtrending, and yes, you have your 10% for the morning dump, but is this consolidation? Is this range trading a potential sign for moves like this in normal market hours? That there's more shorts coming in? Like, so this one, American Internet Content and Information Company, 7 million float, 14% reported short interest. It's up on news of they hit a key milestone of subscribers on their thing, whatever, so whatever news. But just the fact that this price action is moving in this fashion in the future, could that be a sign that, hey, take your 10%, don't get too greedy, maybe set your risk a little bit lower than initial order, the initial entry order, and then get ready to go on the long side for any potential spikes. Worked well on this one today. Could be a play for the future maybe. We'll keep an eye on it. Interesting to see. AEHR. This one played 3 different times for me today. This one, of course, from Friday was the one that just dumped hard, really out of nowhere. A lot of people were looking at this long as a VWAP hold trade. Just price action was choppy and stupid, and then boom, out of nowhere, just completely dumped off the table. Not an awesome reaction from VWAP as well too on that day, which was funny, but just, you can't deny price action, especially that volume candle there. How many people it was getting out in that single minute. Coming into today, news catalyst that they received a 10.8 million order for production test and burn-in of silicon carbide powder for semiconductors for electric vehicles. EVs, of course, aren't necessarily hot right now, but it's still great news nonetheless. Not a morning dump candidate, of course, because it never truly had strength or cracked a declining VWAP. You can see, yes, it tested here, but immediately kind of bought back up once again. And this wasn't a declining VWAP at the time. It was just holding too well at these levels for me to try to get a short position there. Continue to keep rising, holding. Looking for any dip and rip action out of the gate. And we've kind of seen that the first 10 minutes, you're not really looking for that dip and rip setup, and they haven't been working within like a 10-minute from market open as a dip and rip setup. So giving this thing more time, more breathing room, especially looking at it on a tick chart, trying to look for technical ranges anything trading that way. So 4-5 level, obviously this whole half level holding well-ish. Of course, you can see the little breaks, but immediately bought back up once again with quickness, with volume. First trade was looking to play off of the reclaim of VWAP and a move higher. So immediately kind of bought in here, set my stop very short here because I wasn't looking to trade this over a longer time frame, in the sense of trying to find a 4-5 position and then play for like a $5 move, in a sense, and trying to guess or predict the whole move, if that makes sense. Daily's nice on this one, of course. So looking at it on the 1 minute, trying to play a reclaim of VWAP, guessing that 4-5 is going to hold, and then looking for that high a day break. That's not the trade I was looking for on this first one. I was just looking for the quick move. Maybe we came close to high a day and I would have taken off there and had a nice 10% profit there. On these were 100 shares. These first two trades were 100 shares a piece. So shaking into a nice a bit account of my cash account. But obviously hit my stop there, as lots of other people were thinking the same thing, had their stops there, and just killed the dip and rip trade initially on that first attempt. Held decently as it had to clear that 4-5 and hover around the 4-4 level. Tried again to reclaim VWAP. Retouched here, but then fell. Tried again. Spiked back over, having trouble to move away from price quickly. After my entry, of course, I tried to find another share, another 100 shares here for another attempt, thinking that it could try for a high day break once again as it reclaimed VWAP, and looking a little bit higher on that specific time frame, but then I, of course, set just an extremely small risk window again on that one and just got stopped out once more. A third attempt on this one for a dip and rip for the price action. Came back above both of my initial order entries, looking pretty strong, holding those levels okay, and then just once again continuing to fade off. Just a failed dip and rip in the morning session for AEHR. But obviously that doesn't mean it's the end for the trading on this stock. Held the, gosh, just all over the place. Held this, obviously dumped under VWAP pretty hard on that third attempt after it couldn't move past a high daybreak, but was holding those levels pretty well. Just holding and holding and holding, not dying, which as a sign for a short is not really the greatest when this thing is trading $650 million in dollar volume. Just how well this thing was holding and how it was moving higher towards VWAP, held above VWAP. I just knew after seeing this thing again, man, I got to do something in this. So this trade here was only 10 shares, had to go into another room to do something else just so I could look away at it, but I had to be in it, of course, because it was just holding, the price was holding too well and not dying for where it's been and what it's done in the past too, as well too, in the past few days. So I came back in the room at the perfect time, kind of just sold. If I had a bigger position, I would have taken half off, especially, and if I was watching this meticulously, of course, I would have taken half off into strength, like maybe 5-4 or something. Held the rest as a lottery ticket for any crazy action. But you can see here too, even after that, just these big wicks to both the upside and the downside. It's just red, green, no real decision and just confusion over where it's going to go. We could see a little bit of a push higher that it wanted to be around the 5.7 to 5.5 area, but then it dumps back under there. So now potentially more shorts jumping in after it was rejecting those highs. And then we got another bigger squeeze to a halt here above the $6 whole level, and just continued craziness into the close, into the after hours, and now just kind of fading. I suspect with how far it's been from VWAP, we're just going to get a slow fade back to maybe $6, $5.50 area into tomorrow. We'll certainly keep it on watch. It's not dead by any means. It's going parabolic today. We could see some panic maybe tomorrow, maybe a continuation in price action. Pretty nice one to see. Of course, I would have liked to say that, or would have liked to see another 100 share trade here on this one to reclaim some of those little paper cuts I was taking initially, but it's whatever. You live and you learn, and I was just testing this anyway. I just knew that of how well this was holding. This, you had to be in this trade. This chart was forcing you to push the button at that point to be on the long side. And yeah, it's what I also want to mention too is just having to force myself to take more trades because of how small I was putting my trade parameters on. You know, when I put my stops so close, I'm obviously going to get hit more than if I was trying to trade this as a 4-5 to a 5 trade initially from this trade, or the 4-4 looking for the same type of action to the upside on that one. Whereas with these ones, I'm just looking for the quick scalp. I'm looking for this move exactly. And how quintessential and perfect that it happened on the one I wasn't really paying attention to or caring about, of course. But that's the type of action I'm looking, and of course I'm going to have to incur a few more losses and a few more paper cuts trying to trade that route this way. But this, I feel, is pushing me more towards identifying the correct price action and not becoming so attached to losers, or just so dragged down by losers, I should say. It just gets me right back in the action of, okay, it wasn't there, well, maybe let's hold out and wait again, see if it wants to do it again. I mean, it's 3 different attempts today to try and come back above VWAP and then push higher, but ultimately failed in the morning, but which didn't mess me up or screw me up for the opportunity to see that this thing is holding too well. You got to get back in for the continuation into the closing bell. Awesome ticker today. Other one that I just stupidly got screwed around on, LCLP, this OTC. This is the former 1000% runner from last week Wednesday. Had that dip by trade on it that Thursday, and then I told myself again on Friday, gosh, you just gotta buy it, especially as it wasn't, as the perfect risk level was there of that low day. And in the back of my head, I knew this thing was just gonna rise the whole day on that Friday. This day, today, coming into Monday, had a pretty nice gap up. I wouldn't call that a nice overnight chart to try and swing this, but looking at this, I had just come off of one of my AEHR attempts, and then of course the padding from that SPY trade, which I was profitable on the day and really didn't need to be doing anything else, which was kind of comforting. Similar to how I had my best day on that JZXN. Was JZXN? Or the other day I was trading LCLP on that dip by day. It was that Thursday. Kept my eye on this one initially for any continuation here. Saw price action just fading at 4.6. I was like, okay, shoot, whatever. I may just bounce around. Turned my head around, or like went to another room for a second, and this thing was already back above 4.6. I'm like, what the heck? I so would have gotten in at that point and played it for any breakout, and would have been out for 10% within from 4.6 to 50, even taking some off with a room at 51, 52. Awesome opportunity at that point. So I was like, that's stupid. Came back under VWAP, just kind of mishigots around, and then produced these pure 3, 6, 7, 8 green candles right in a row. And I'm like, golly, I do not want to be buying a pure green spike, but these are intraday new high days that it's coming to, more technical levels that are coming once we break that level. If we're looking back from this Thursday as well, we've got the 569 high from here. God, I kind of have to at this point. So I had an order in at like 50 as we were hovering around there, and then all of a sudden price was shot immediately to 5.2 on this level. So I was like, okay, geez, whatever. Go to cancel that order. Order is just sitting there, still not being canceled. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Price eventually starts coming back down. The bid starts slipping away. I get hit at 50. And now I'm just stuck in a declining, panicking stock from that breakout fail. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I've got to fool around with this active trader window on Thinkorswim, and I'm just going berserk on canceling, setting a stop order, setting a limit order, doing all these stupid things, not getting filled, not getting canceled. Just once again, I haven't had that frustration of trading OTCs in a while, and I can remember why I try to stay away a little bit from those OTCs and this Thinkorswim platform at least. But somehow lucked out, so freaking lucky to get in on a green candle that I got filled at like 498. So this was only like a $10 loss. Yeah, $12 loss. without the commissions, of course, that I lucked out that this thing just didn't start panicking hard, cracking under VWAP, cracking a new low today. That would have been a total day ruiner. So yeah, totally lucked out that there was more room to the upside. I didn't even really attempt or try to see this new high day breakout attempt again, as it was perfect VWAP touch here, reclaimed very well to those levels. I didn't even see it, and I don't think I would have even been emotionally ready or ready enough to hold that red candle there too that cracked underneath the 52 level. But the opportunity was there. Just stair stepping down, of course, on the way down after this mountain, this parabolicness. I don't think it's dead yet. It may have more room tomorrow still, or it may just panic, but we'll be ready either way if it wants to open green, open closer to this 50 mark, or try to downtrend here. You gotta be looking at least for 3 for dip buy levels to see a true amount of panic on this one from any bag holders from the initial run-up day on Wednesday. So that was on that one. YVR looking for a red-to-green move, didn't get it today. Not dead on a daily. Coming for, looking for any move above that 715 high. Especially looking to take profits around that mark, and of course looking for strength beyond this 2.2 mark, especially from Friday. Was looking okay around this point, and then just kind of fell off, and then rest of the day, afternoon, faded under VWAP. Didn't work out. SJOC, similar one. Of course, this is the recent runner. Pretty parabolic moves on the daily, forming a little bit of a wedge here, as you can see, and not dying, which again is the same kind of what's the word? The signal that we're looking for as along that shorts would get panicky or uncomfortable to say that it's not just completely dying off or going red. Looked that way from the morning, and then just slowly, sure enough, started putting in higher lows, reclaimed VWAP. It's choppy as ever, of course. Just I can imagine the pain it would be to try and sit through this thing for a half a day. But closed pretty strong. And I pulled this thing up once again in the after hours here, and was so tempted as I saw it with these green candles, looking at this like 1440 area. I was like, oh geez, this thing is going to go even harder with no halts in the after hours, the volatility this thing has. But now it's just kind of downtrending back to VWAP as of right now. But definitely a one on watch for tomorrow as along if it wants to show any more craziness. OXBR was on the scanner this morning. Daily pretty bleh. And the morning was pretty bleh. It was, this is pharmaceutical, oh no, it's a Cayman Islands reinsurance. 3.6 million float. They had news of that they're filing for SPAC. So interesting to see. I don't think I've seen one of these start spiking on SPAC news as of now, or started tracking them hard at this point. I certainly wouldn't have traded this as a morning dump, but of course it just faded hard and just poo-pooed the rest of the day. And I wonder if we're going to see more, if SPY wants to continue to go red as it's doing in the next few weeks, months, if we're going to just see more charts like this, that maybe a little bit of strength in the pre-market, just choppy craziness, but ultimately things are just going to kind of be dead the rest of the day, and you can just take your profits within the first few hours of market open, or even try to play it if you're cheeky like that in the afternoon. I just wonder. I don't know for sure, but could happen. And then AHPI. Watched this one a while back for a first green day short, which was okay. That was this day, the 14th. Yeah, decent little short opportunity, but not golden or a pure sell-off. Just like that, it was a huge volatility randomly on this day and did not show strength in the after hours. But today, they had news. I believe they did not have news. I don't see any news reported here on my scanner. Again, a float of 3.4 million, reported short interest of 4%. Holding well, choppiness, and then just kind of all of a sudden out of nowhere, the final ultimate surge back to that $10 whole level area. Just out of nowhere. Once again, these shorts, these low floaters are just insane to try and ride along for the whole day to keep your sanity through them the whole time. Just crazy price action to see. So markets are becoming a little more tumultuous, getting a little more action coming out of the summer trading months, which is exciting to see. You never really want to feel comfortable in a sense as you're trading. You want to identify patterns that are working and continue to hit them hard, which is what I feel I'm doing right now, and just waiting like a sniper when the opportunities come. But more volatility means more opportunity to a trader. That's what we live and breathe on. So exciting to see that SPY's finally coming to his senses a little bit and finally going red in the slightest sense a little bit. So we'll profit off of any opportunities it wants to give us and just flee when it wants to move even harder against us. So thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.